Red alert!
Yeah, it's Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. It's May 16th, 2025, episode number 23 of the 4K Skywatching podcast. I'm Tom King, your host. Tonight we have Dan Starkey with us. He has some new video that he shot recently of some type of orb or something. I thought it was interesting. We're going to take a look at it and critique it. Arrow, again, just like last Friday, dropped another Fleur video. So we're seeing a change of what we had with Sean Kirkpatrick with the new people from Arrow, which nobody trusts, and now they're just putting out videos for us to look at. Um, it's not the best of the best, but hey, it's a step forward, and we'll take any step that we can get progressing forward. We got an interesting show tonight. Um, we're going to get into that orb video that Dan shot. Then we're going to do a full review of the Reolink 4K trail camera. I have had that running for a while. I'm almost ready to deploy it, probably next weekend, depending on a couple of more tests. And then we're going to get into the News Nation Arizona UFO Hunters from Ross Coulthard. Interesting show, pretty comprehensive thing he did. So we're going to talk about that. And then the third episode of Matthew Brown came out on Weaponized, and he is the latest whistleblower from Whistleblower Palooza that's coming out. But before it takes too long, let me introduce you to my guest, Dan Starkey. Dan was on the show before. He is He's a unique guy. He goes out and he rents helicopters from time to time, and he flies over the Superstition Mountains and skywatches. And about 40% of the time, he captures odd UFOs flying through the mountains, like you would see on Skinwalker Ranch. That's an interesting way of skywatching, but he skywatches um, just like the rest of us. And him and Clive and me and Chris have a fun Skywatcher group. We're very proactive and hands-on. So let me bring him in. Hopefully the audio is working. Captures odd UFOs flying through the mountains. Like you see on Hey, Dad. How you doing? I can hear some feedback from you. But he skywatches just like the rest of us. Hey, Dan, are you there? So let me bring him in. I'm hearing feedback from your phone.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, turn your phone down if you're on your phone because I can hear myself coming back through that. But otherwise, it's good.
I am.
Okay, so I'm on a hell of a dial-up, not dial-up, a fast internet here, and Dan is on
How are you?
um, Wi-Fi.
Oh, I'll shut the phone off.
There you go. How you doing tonight?
Okay.
Okay, so you have a new capture that we're going to get into. Um, so have you? Let me ask a few things. Have you seen the News Nation Arizona Scott UFO Hunter episode? Hold on. Sorry, I had you muted. Look back to you.
I can't hear you.
Um, you should be good.
I can't hear you at all.
You might need some headsets if you can't. Some earphones if you can't use your phone. Well, let's get into that warp video while we work out the details here. Okay, so Arrow dropped a new video, and it's interesting. No one asked for this. This is historical that they're just giving away um, videos. Um, they're not the best. We know they have smoking gun videos, but baby steps. So let's see what they got here. So this is a FLIR video. It's shot in white hot.
And there's nothing really here yet. They blacked out all the details of this. You can basically go to Dave Fauch's. Dave Fauch is a FLIR expert that repairs FLIR cameras, and you can go to his channel and see what all the symbols are that they black out. Usually, it's the time, the date, sometimes the GPS position, the speed, and whatnot. So what we have here is an unusual object that doesn't fit into the other FLIR videos.
What they're doing, you can see a few things moving in the background, but not very much. So again, this is like last week's video where something is moving from left to the right, and they're slewing with it with their camera. Um, this looks kind of like a double object, kind of like one object stacked upon another one. Sometimes this is referred to in sightings as a barbell type of object. And there's something, you can see the background flying, but there's no, I mean, with parallax, you can't figure out how fast it's going or speed or any of that. So all we basically have is a visual. Note on this one, they don't have automatic tracking with this. And they don't have something blacked out next to it. So what that tells me is whatever the data collection method was from this video versus last Friday was a slightly different FLIR pod system, depending on how upgraded they are, and maybe a whole different type of aircraft. These could be fixed-wing aircraft. These could be shot on drones, helicopters, the Reaper, even unclassified things. So we have two objects white hot. They look like they're almost separating a little bit. And I haven't had time to do any work on this. This wouldn't be hard to stabilize the video because it's from this point on, it's kind of always centerized. So we have a kind of a double stack right there. Okay, there is where they blacked something out. They're trying to box a moving target with it, and they fail. So what they're trying to do with their system is manually lock onto this, like we saw last week. And it doesn't look like they're really trying too hard. This video is something interesting here that the other ones doesn't. This one flipped into color mode and superimposed it right over thermal. That's interesting. That's something I haven't seen before. Optically, what I'm looking at here is I'm thinking we're looking at some balloons. That's what I'm thinking is This could be a star-shaped balloon on top and another star-shaped balloon on the bottom with the string tied together. It's hard to tell because of the object is not rapidly moving left, right, up, and down. That is the camera trying to keep up with it and not lose it. So there's somebody flying whatever this aircraft is, and then somebody operating the camera manually. This is not an automated collection, say like UFODAP, that's totally computer controlled. There's a human looking at this and a human trying to figure this out. Now I wonder if they were to cycle into hot black, if this would look kind of like a black cross or flying humanoid. But if this is stabilized, then we can basically get rid of the slewing around and take a look at just what the object is doing. And if we find that the object is contracting and pulling together and contracting and pulling together, then we're looking at a balloon cluster that's stuck in the wind. But if it doesn't do that, we see other behavior, then that might rule it out. I've studied so many of these videos that I have kind of an idea of what we should be doing with them. But so far, it's nothing too remarkable about this video other than it's been released. When they black everything out, that doesn't tell us anything. I mean, if this was, let's say, for instance, shot over Barry Goldwater gunnery range, why would you black all this stuff out? It's just, you know, they shouldn't be blacking anything out if it's over a military operating area. This is the type of stuff that I see, you know, if this was in color, it could almost look like a cluster of balloons. I'm not too sure. Every time they zoom in, there's kind of a flicker because there isn't really, as far as I know, a zoom on FLIR. You have lenses that they flip to. They have a wide lens, and then they have a different germanium glass lens that gives us kind of zoom. There, I could see they're messing with the focus. You don't see that a lot in FLIR videos. You don't see them defocus like we just did. Sometimes it's good to do that. I did that on the Phoenix Lights video when I was showing Steve Blonder how to manually focus and unfocus. And sometimes that gives away more of the shape when you go like that, like they're doing right there. They're putting it out of focus. And a lot of people, 2025, are too goddamn stupid to figure out when something goes out of focus. They'll look at it and say, look at it, it's spinning, it's the bat symbol. Like, no, it's out of focus. We got about 20 seconds left on this video. And it could just be, oh, we lost Stan. It could just be some balloons. I don't know. It's interesting that they released it. But it's not too impressive. The one that they had last week when I did an enhancement on that, it kind of looked like the gimbal. If you look at the videos I posted earlier this week, there's one of a blow up of the jellyfish and another one of what was released last week. And if you go about 8 minutes in, I took the last section where they boxed the object and basically blew that up. And it looks like kind of like a top shape. So that at least has an interesting shape. These shapes that I see with this one looks balloonish. Nothing too interesting, just an anomalous object. So at any one time, there's a capture like this going on. These aircraft are patrolling the border 24 hours a day. And it's good that they're at least patrolling our border because we've had these aircraft patrolling borders of other countries, of foreign countries forever. So it'd be great to have data collection of our own backyard for once. But we don't know because they blacked everything out. There's thousands of these videos. They've admitted it. I think it was Tim Gaudette said that they have hundreds, if not thousands of these. They probably collect 2 to 3 of these, if they're sending these to Arrow, a week. That they're always going to run into something that they can't figure out. And on top of that, Um, with the government playing real stupid that, oh, gee, golly, we don't know. Oh, you guys, you do know. Uh, about 12 years ago, they released some videos online of something they call Gorgon Stare. And what that is they took a bunch of iPhones. They took about 60 of them. They took the cameras out of them. And they built just this grid of iPhones. Then they put it on like a Cessna, and they flew 30,000 feet over a town. And they could see the whole town. It's like kind of like what I'm doing with the MVR system, where I have cameras pointed in all these different directions. And I could rewind time up to a month. So if I get somebody reporting something was over Chandler Gilbert, I can get the time and the date, and then I can look for the camera angles on where I might have picked them up. They're doing this with Gorgon Stare. They're looking down on cities, and the collection of this is probably forever. It's probably knowing our government. We lost Dan for some reason. Knowing our government, they don't never delete nothing. They have endless amounts of our money store the stuff. That's what they were talking about in Salt Lake City. Is that there was a new collection place that they were going to store all of our phone videos every day. In Sioux Falls, South Dakota, about a year or two ago, there was a small town north of there where they launched a Zeppelin balloon. And that Zeppelin balloon went up, had Gorgon Stare technology on it, and it watched all of Sioux Falls, everything. And that's not that big of a town. We have towns here in the valley that are that size and bigger. They were watching this town stop crime. Well, I happened to go to high school in Sioux Falls, and what crime are they talking about? There's like nobody, and there's like the murder rate. There's nothing to stop. How in the hell are they going to stop crime looking down? You might be able to find out, well, there was a bank robbery here, and then the car drove home over to here. Got it? Well, how many bank robberies are there? What justification do they have putting an entire city under surveillance? And if they're putting Sioux Falls under surveillance, they probably started with the bigger cities first. So I'm wondering if I could look up with my system and find a small dot up there that is Gorgon Stare. Or are they using spy satellites in synchronous orbits looking down? So, for some reason we lost Dan. See if I can get him in here. Probably just lost his Wi-Fi. So we have this Gorgon Stare type thing, and they could rewind time if there's a sighting. Let's say the Phoenix Lights or something like that happened, and they have a satellite Gorgon Stare down over a major city or wherever it happened. Then they could watch this thing. The most important thing is finding out where did it come from and where did it go to. You need to find out where they're coming from and going to. That did they have a base here? Everybody thinks so. So with this technology, they could map that out. So they act stupid when they release a video like this that could be a balloon, and they have hundreds of these other videos. We lost Dan. Must be internet. So he should be back. So yeah, with Gorgon Stare, there's thousands of these videos. But again, means and methods. How comfortable would Americans be if they found out that they were permanently watched for the last decade or two by satellites from the sky, watching your every move? And then you hear stuff like, well, the government doesn't have money for X, but they got money to permanently watch us, all of us. Why? For what? Are they really watching us, or is crime in Sioux Falls would be a cover, right? My thinking is if they have, say, and Gorgon Stare from Sioux Falls was done through a blimp, not a satellite. So that tells me they don't have satellite coverage of Sioux Falls yet. And another thing, any UAP that come under the Gorgon Stare, or whatever you want to call it, there's a lot of different names for it, in the city, now that city's under permanent surveillance. No UAP can go in there and abduct somebody and get out without being data collected by taxpayer American government collection systems that are top secret and they never tell us about. We spend a lot of money on this stuff, and very few people get to see it. People like Matthew Brown get to see it. Um, and some people have a conscience and they see it. And Dan's coming back in. So they see it and they go public. I said, this is wrong. So think about that. Next time, um, we all pay like half of our check to taxes. So next time you need help, next time you're sick, next time you're here, we don't have the money for this. You think about when you got the money to look up at all of us, see UAPs. Um, Very weird. So Dan will be in here in a minute. Um, so yeah, that was the orb video, or no, that was the orb video from the government. We're going to show Dan's here in a minute when he gets in here. So I'm going to play devil's advocate and ask the questions, the hard questions about his footage when we look at it. Um, so we'll get him in here in a second. There he is. We have you back there. Where they're coming from going through that? Do they have a base? And I can hear my audio. All right, Dan transitioned out. All right, he's back. All right, so let's show your orb video, and then make sure your volume's down, and then you can tell us about it. So let me get this queued up here. All right, so this is a video that was shot this week. So bear with me. Somehow I got sick. I'm dealing with the sore throat.
Here's a UAP we saw the other night, May 10th. That was about 8:30 or so, from the Dark Sky Ranch, and this was brighter than most of the things out there. There's a lot of planes moving around, but this all of a sudden was acting different. Wasn't flashing, and it wasn't moving around like this here. If I was moving the camera around here, it was my fault there, but it was steady, moving slowly, and then it maybe pulled away from us and just vanished, just disappeared. But so this is a slowed up version, just so it's not racing around so much because of my camera's support. But it looks odd. I got a couple snapshots out of this. We'll take a closer look. Okay, here's a snapshot. So I don't see a plane in there. There's another second snapshot from the video slowed. So here it's also, it's got a straight piece coming off of it. So I don't know what that is. It's another UAP. It didn't act like the other ones. Usually it's a quick shot, super fast. You can barely see it, just a glimpse. But this one here was moving slower, so this is different. Didn't hear nothing too. It was no sound. Here's a UAP we saw the other night.
Okay, basic questions. Where was it shot? What was it shot on? What time was it shot? You're a bit behind because we're on a delay. Oh, you got some headphones, so that's in progress. So yeah, let's hear where you shot it from, what time of night was it, and what was the date?
I can't hear your video too. You're not sure.
You definitely need to get him some faster internet. Where's that? All right, we got some more media from Dan. This is I still thought of a blow up of whatever this is. Dan says that it was all white. I asked him what color it was, and it was all white. Um, beside the other three questions I had, why isn't this just some aircraft? And that all depends on where this was recorded, because I live in the Class B's area under Sky Harbor Airport, and uh, everything up to 10,000 feet is strictly monitored by ATC. So when I see a plane, it's either taking off or it's landing. Um, so if he shot this up by the Superstition Mountains, same thing. The planes from that vantage point are up very high, and they're either coming over the Superstition Mountains and they're lowering to land, or they've already launched from Sky Harbor Airport. And by the time they clear Tempe, they're already at 3,000 or 4,000 feet. And the majority of them bank to California, or they fly north, and a few of them fly east. It's the same thing all the time. There's a thing I've watched some Texas channels, and they film aircraft at tree level, right? And I'm looking at this big aircraft, and there is no way um, that jets are just flying around at 1,000 feet that are Airbuses, right? Anytime you see something at treetop level, there's got to be an airport around, because you just don't fly goddamn planes that big with people on them over treetops. That has never happened. How many planes have we been on that are just cruising over treetop levels around Texas? None. So that's a whole weird thing itself. Yeah, Dan's fighting with his internet. He did get some headphones, so we'll get this worked out. Um, I got him. I got him a link so he can drop in here anytime. Yeah, Panacopia. We're always being watched. Um, and speaking of that, I got the radar up and ready to go. I'm not transmitting. I was messing with that a little bit earlier. On the NVR, we have the radar up. I had some problems with this this week. I took the entire payload off the top of the mast. The payload right there with the Garmin, the camera, and the pan tilt weigh, I'm estimating about 35 pounds. What I did is I took it down. The camera didn't work. It malfunctioned for some damn reason. I also took the metal plate off, and I cut the corners off of it. So it was a 12 by 12 piece of aluminum, and a Home Depot bucket uh, fits on it perfectly to round it up. So yeah, that's for any of you who are new to the channel. I have my own active radar system. It's on a military style mast that goes up 42 feet. The mast itself weighs 420 pounds. It's a it's a massive project just to get that in here. Yeah, I have another surveillance camera on that. Right underneath that, I have UFODAP running. And let's see, under that, got the radar on. And see, I don't have the Cosmic Watch running. I had some issues this week with it. I think it's on your side. See, that's the thing. If this looks, I haven't had time to stabilize this video. When you shoot a video and you keep the object in the center and it never touches the top, bottom, or left, right part of the frame, every time it does that, the stabilization process needs to be reset because the object went out of frame. So that first video from Arrow, that was pretty much in frame most of the time. That'll auto-stabilize through different software pretty quick. But when it touches the corner and you lose it, then you got to manually do all this. So anyway, with Dan's video, same thing. Once you take out the camera shake, then you can sit there and go, aha, I can see how the object moves and functions. But up out of the Superstition Mountains, you don't have aircraft flying around at treetop level. So that's an interesting video. going there. Let's see what else we have on the NVR. I have all these cameras working. I had some problem with the pool camera. There's so much shit here that there's always at least two things broken, or a wire broken, or something. So I ran, let's see, 900 feet of RJ45 Cat 6 through the wall, in addition to the mile and a half of a cable already up there. So the top of my house, when I die and somebody gets this goddamn house, if they turn on the fireplace, they're going to burn the place down because I capped it with cameras. Okay? Um, but if they take that off, they're going to say, what in the fuck is this radar pole? Right? And then, is there a mile and a half camera? Why is this room all set up like this? I mean, this room is crazy. This is the view from the radar camera up there. So this will make pretty good time-lapse videos with it. Now I can go up a hell of a lot higher, but I haven't messed with it too much yet. What sucks is I found out the bottom part of the mast is busted. There's these notches. There's 7 sections of the tube, and each section goes up about 1 story. So you go up 7 sections, you go up 7 stories. It's a little bit unnerving sitting underneath that thing going up, going, hope it doesn't fall apart, but it's heavy duty, man. But the very, very bottom part, the notches are busted. And I think it came that way. I don't know how the hell I would have broken. So anyway, when you charge it up, when you charge the air compressor up to move it up and down, the bottom part wants to go up, right? Because there's no locks to hold it down. But there's internal locks that when you go up and you hear it click, then you release the clamp that has spring loads for it to go up and down. Then you unrelease the air. Every section of the tube, I don't know how this works. It's ingenious. It has its own compressed air in it. It moves it up. So when you start and there's nothing up, the whole thing wants to move up because the bottom section 7 is broken. And what I found out is it takes a lot more air pressure to move up the bottom 1, 2, and 3 parts than it does the inner tube, which is the intersection is I think about 7 inches around. That's a lot lighter. So that goes up with very little air pressure. So I haven't had the entire thing up yet. Kind of like, I don't know, when you fly a drone and they're like a $2,000 drone, you kind of clench your butt cheeks together going, shit, I hope I don't crash. It's kind of like with this thing, it's like I'm going through the honeymoon phase and getting used to it and getting through the process of eventually having the thing up all the way. If it goes up all the way, probably see freaking McDonald's or something from here. It's crazy. So if the radar doesn't work, I'm going to put a dome camera up there or something. And that one dome camera I have, the 4K one with the windshield wiper, that went up a little bit in money. I can tell you, I did not like that camera when I first got it. When I first got it, I was kind of pissed. I didn't like the grain on it, and it was real grainy. Like 4K cameras usually are very, very clear. It had some grain on it. But as I use it, what I'm finding is it's very, very optically powerful. That camera with 45 power zoom is very, very close to the P900. The Nikon P900 does an 83 power zoom. And this one does damn close because you can see 4 moons of Jupiter with this camera. You can see incredible distance. So I'm waiting. It's a matter of time. I'm due for a good sighting. I get a good one every 6 to 9 months. Matter of time until something comes across that camera and I get one hell of a zoom on it. Like if that red hockey puck were to come back, we would have structured object structures, whatever the hell that was. See, we still don't have Dan. Here's why I said I saw you recently at Ted Lohman's old show before he died. Yeah, Ted was a good dude. He was a good friend. He had me on the show about 4 times. It was fun to go out dinner afterwards in Tucson because Tucson has a really cool laid back crowd, and Phoenix does too. Phoenix is not like LA. It's a laid back vibe and very very laid back in Tucson. Tucson reminds me of Hawaii, where everybody's chillaxed and cool. I had a good time down there last Saturday with Armando. We went down there and we saw Nick Pope at the MUFON meeting there. And they had almost the same turnout at the MUFON meeting in Tucson that they do up here at Phoenix MUFON, at least when I saw Whitley Strieber there. So that's a good crowd. Check that out. If you're anywhere around the Phoenix area, check out the Phoenix, Tucson MUFON. There's always great people that run that. Um, Politics and shit that UFO politics goes around all over the place. So yeah, we have a little bit of that up here in Phoenix. So at least we got Dan on here. We got to show his video. He can talk. If he can't get in here, he can at least run the chat. We can talk about that. Dan, in the chat, at least, what time did you shoot that? Did you shoot that over from Superstition? That's an odd looking video that we have. But yeah, Ted was cool. One of the things that Nick Pope said that stuck with me, the last thing he said was about catastrophic disclosure. That term has been thrown around the last 4 or 5 years, and people have different meanings for it. I guess there is no solid means, whatever we want it to be. But Nick had a really good one. Catastrophic disclosure is not going to come from whistleblowers, because whistleblowers are pretty much tightly controlled by the U.S. government. It's going to come from China or it's going to come from Russia, because if they come out with UFO technology first, then that catches the U.S. flat-footed, and they're going, oh shit, now we have to disclose. And they did it first so they can control the narrative. The first country to disclose this technology and that they have it recovered from previous administrations wins the narrative war, and then they can spin it any way they want. The last country that does it is kind of left, empty-handed. And then we're going to have countries that have no UFO tech at all. We have a person from Sweden here. I don't know if any UFOs have crashed in Sweden. God, they had the Billy Meyer case. They got some of the best photographs there is for the 70s in Sweden. But there's going to be countries that don't have this laying around, or another country came in and bullied them and took it. No, the U.S. government will go into Mexico and just take their crap. They probably will go into Canada and do it. The CIA has a global office of going to fucking anywhere. I don't know what it's GFAWCS or something. Fuck it. And they'll go into any country with Navy SEALs or whoever the recovery team is and just take the shit. And they don't give a damn because of the national security implications. What if that craft has weapons, right? What if there's alien rifles there? That's something you kind of want to get before the other guy gets it. So, but I was talking to my wife about this, and she watches Ancient Aliens religiously, right? And she has a pretty good take on this. China will probably crack this technology before the United States does. And here's the reason why. One thing that we've heard that one of the reasons they have to keep it secret is because if let's say Philip Corso, the day after Roswell, let's say they seeded this technology through military-industrial complex, and they gave it to Lockheed. But then Northrop sues because they didn't get the shit. That's ridiculous. Okay, so I've heard that. That's a ridiculous reason why they can't come out with this. Lawyers, fucking lawyers. The Eagle is gonna no, that's not gonna happen at all. They don't give a shit. That's like McDonald's suing Burger King over shit. Ain't gonna happen. The reason China is going to do this first is because of that. It's the reverse. Because China and Russia's equivalent of Lockheed and Northrop are state-owned, right? So let's say they gave a piece of material to Lockheed, and then they gave the same piece of material to Northrop. Well, they're going to try and figure this out, and then they're going to file patents on this, and they're going to copyright it, and they're going to trademark it. But they sure as fuck ain't going to pick up the phone and the CEO go, "Hey, I want to share some secrets with you. We spent hundreds of millions of dollars, and we figured out how to get this thing to turn on." So I'm going to no said nobody ever at Lockheed, but China will, because their military industrial complex will call each other to work together, and they'll say, "Hey, I figured out this part." So A will talk to B, different weapons companies. Does that make sense? Because Raytheon, Northrop, they ain't going to talk. They don't share their tech. I mean, that's all proprietary. Raytheon does a lot of the missile pods and flare pods and stuff like that we have. They don't call Northrop and say, here's how you do that. The guys, the company that came up with the B-2 bomber, man, when they had the B-2 bomber, they put out bids, our request for information, or bids, right? And they put these bids in, and whoever is the lowest bid gets it, and then they jack up the price later. Well, they don't go share that fucking technology with another company, and that's why America will be behind China and Russia cracking this technology because of these intellectual firewalls, copyrights, laws, and fucking lawyers. It's not going to be lawyers suing that they didn't get it. They're just not going to tell each other shit. And then there's news out that they're trying to put into writing eminent domain of all this stuff, right? So I don't know. I don't see the government going anywhere with these. There's always going to be a hearing, I guess, and it's historical that we have these hearings, but they're going to go nowhere because right now the buck stops at Mark Rubio. Mark Rubio was so into this before Trump got reelected. He was all into trying to figure out what this was, and then now he's in a position to get read into everything. And what does he say? Nada, not a goddamn thing. And so, could he come out and just say something crazy at a press conference? Hey, aliens are real, I saw it, and then have to walk that back? That's up to Trump. And whether you like him or not, this type of guy is probably the only chance that this might come up. The other presidents that we had before him were status quo. Keep the ship the same. Don't rock the boat. Come in and do your little things that you want to do. But the hell if they're going to open Pandora's box of aliens and all that other stuff. A loose cannon like Trump's about the only thing that might do that, and they still might even have control over him. So we'll see. Let's catch up with the chat. Sorry, I'm eating cough drops here. Well, Sweden's cool. My wife's from Sweden. She's beautiful. Okay, you shot that from Dark Sky Ranch, so I take it. I wasn't here in the valley. Now, I see stuff like Dancy's from my cameras, but I'm sitting here 15 miles from Sky Harbor Airport, so I should be seeing that stuff. Of course, rockets in 1947 is widely known. I like the theory, but they have been checking us since time more real. All right, saw that around 8:30. That's the when. And we got the where. And so, yeah. See, for people watching, we're gonna play this again. We're gonna rewind, guys. This is still from Dan's photo. All right, and then I gotta fix the audio for him next time we get in the video, and then from there, let's play his video one more time, and now I'm gonna critique it.
Here's a UAP we saw the other night, May 10th. That was about 8:30 or so, from the Dark Sky Ranch, and
Oh, okay, dark side.
this is
Now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, is this an aircraft? Okay, coming in for a landing or taking off?
brighter than most of the things.
Because we don't want to be like New Jersey and film aircraft and call them drones.
There's a lot of planes moving around,
But I'm not seeing flickering.
Wasn't flashing, and it wasn't moving around
And Dan is not a stupid person. He didn't wake up yesterday.
like this here.
He knows what he's doing.
Moving the camera around here, it was my fault there, but it was steady, moving slowly, and then it maybe pulled away from us in this vanished, just disappeared. But so this is a slowed up version, just so it's not racing around so much because of my camera's support. But it looks odd. I got a couple snapshots out of this. We'll take a closer look. Okay, here's a snapshot. So I don't see a plane in there. There's another second snapshot from the video slowed. So here it's also, it's got a straight piece coming off of it. So I don't know what that is.
I'm going to get into the weeds of that later. Well, we do follow-ups on here. You know how you watch the news and they never do a follow-up and you always want to find out what happens? Well, we do follow-ups for that. There's a landing case and returning intervals, checking out the current lay of the land. You know, the best skywatchers in the world are on this channel. They're in this chat. The people from the Discord, the people who have UFODAPs. I interact with him either here on Discord or on Twitter. So the circle's tightening of good skywatchers. This is becoming way more normalized than a lot of people think. That's all right. Oh yeah, your night vision. Was that the weird one you had? Probably the weird one you had at Chris's house that had that weird box. That was strange as hell. Hey, Mr. Tube, I did not run into you last Saturday at Tucson. That's cool. Well, Nick Pope was there. Nick Pope is he's got a great gig. He's a very friendly guy. I used to not like him, but that was me. That was me just being jealous that this guy's got a great gig. I'm going to get into this camera system here next, and I'm going to tell you guys how to save some money. So I have this camera. This is a trail camera, and I'm keeping it. I'm not sending it back to Amazon, to Bezos. It's a pretty damn good camera. It has a lot of stuff built in. You cannot hook UFODAP up to this, but you don't need it because it has its own kind of UFODAP technology built in. I'm going to show, this is the camera, and I got it for a little bit cheaper. It kind of, I have it flipped upside down and sitting on the roof. It kind of looks like an owl. So once you mount this, it's going to be pretty hard to find. Now, let me tell you that if you're a hardcore skywatcher and you're going to go out and buy any gear that's over, say, $100, or if you just want to buy non-skywatcher gear that's under $100, I'm going to tell you how to save some hundreds, maybe thousands and thousands of dollars because I buy a lot of stuff. People ask how much does all this cost? I don't know. It would be Magnum's Ferrari for sure. Okay, so what we're going to look at here is this place I use called. There's a few of these called Camel. So remember that Camel. It's a website. It's a free service. You sign up and then you drop in to this place what you want to buy from Amazon. And I dropped in this camera, and we will look at the price of that. So you can see this camera right now on Camel. It started out at $300, and then look how it drops. It drops here, and then it goes up, and then it drops. So what's happening here? What's happening is they're selling it for $300. It goes on sale, and it goes back up. Now we don't know if people are buying this, but I do. I know the secret sauce here. And we'll get into that in a minute. So we can see that, look, now it's going down. So if you see the price here, it went for $215. But then it went back up to 270, and then 215, 270, 215. Well, you could see right here, this thing is due for a price drop back down to 215. So if you wanted this, you could save about $65 just by using this this tool here. And you could drop any. So I used to think when you go to Amazon, that's the price, and you just, it's always the same price. No, no, that shit goes all over the map. So let me blow you away on this, and let me show you the next one. Now, this is a thermal scope I have. It's no longer sold. When I bought this, the going price was the going rate was $5,000 for the scope. Right, this is one of the 5 different thermal sensors I have. So what happened here is the price would go down, and around here is when I signed up to Camel, because I noticed that the price was going down, and I did not want to pay 5,000 if I can get it for 3,500. So I was watching these price goes down, and how do I know that people were buying it? Because I was watching this religiously at a point in time. So what happened here is it was going down $100 a day, $100 a day, $100 a day, $100 a day, $100 a day. Somebody would buy it, and as soon as they buy it, they put that puppy back up to 5,000, and then sometimes it would drop. So they were every single time this went back up is because someone bought it and they reset the price, hoping for somebody would come in. So I was one of these lines here. They got it for $3,200, and at some point they sold down here for $1,500. Okay, here we go with the P1000. The P1000 actually cost more. It went up in price. Here, it actually on Amazon went up to $1,600 recently. So you can see the price is somewhat consistent, but it doesn't go down. It goes up. So that is how using. There's other stuff, Camel, and App Tracker, Price Tracker, different apps can save you money. So if you want to buy just not anything, I buy almost everything on Amazon. And I forgot I should be using this. Camel. Then you got to wait. You don't get it when you want to. You got to wait. But you save money. Hey, there's Cuba. Cuba's helped me out on a whole bunch of stuff. So if you're going to buy some gear, at least run it through there and find out, hey, I might be able to save a few bucks. But if you're spending over $100 on something, I'd recommend it. So getting back into this camera, I was talking about. What's your view? Those children are telling the truth about those grays. Those grays, when they come in and they put into your head the world's going to blow up, nukes and all that. Nukes aren't going to blow us up. It's going to blow them up in another dimension. They only care. Everybody is out for themselves. Every creature, every ant, caterpillar is out for their own self-preservation and survival. Except maybe a moth that runs to a light, something like that. But we're all out for ourselves. They're only warning us because our shit will jack up their stuff. That's what I think. I think those kids are telling the truth. Yeah, I've read about the case. I'm also an experiencer. I've been kidnapped a couple of times by these things. It wasn't fun. Let's get into this Rio camera. All right, so a full breakdown of this is we are looking at the camera. I put it up on top of the chimney that's capped off, and I've moved it around. So right now it's in sleep mode because we don't see a real-time ticker on this. So how you wake this thing up is you come up over here and you hit this button, and this refreshes it, so it's going to wake up. Now with an app, so I can stream this live on 4K Skywatching podcast. And we are live right now with the remote camera. Now what's going to happen is the camera is going to stay live for 5 minutes. And you can also use it on your phone, and on your phone it'll stay live for 20 minutes. And then it goes into sleep mode to save power. Now a message will come up saying, hey, we're going to go into sleep mode, hit a button to continue or whatever. It's kind of annoying. Now, there's no way at all to turn that off. That's something you have to deal with. These cameras that say they can do this, they can do that, well, they do it through a whole bunch of tricks, like going to sleep, like not being on 24/7. But anyway, let's drill down into this thing. So this camera here, it only works with a SIM card. This does not work over Wi-Fi. This is not a camera that you can connect to your phone and use a hotspot or a Wi-Fi, you must have the SIM card. And so what I did is I went to Mint Mobile, got 3 months for $30 a month, and it doesn't use a lot of data because it's in sleep mode. So that's something to consider. So when I had it live last Friday, it came with the SIM card with 100 meg. And I was trying to save it for the broadcast, and it used up the data on that SIM card, and then it shuts off. It bricks. I mean, this thing's dead. I mean, you can see the power's on, but you can't see anything in the camera. You can't get an image on it. You can't get to the menus. You can't do shit. You got to put a SIM card, and it's got to be charged. So that, because this camera is not meant to be sitting here. It's to go and BFE away from you, but place it as cell phone signal. So this is a true remote camera. It'll go back into the Windows interface. What it says here is, here we have a 4G. We have 4 bars. The battery indicator here, and that light here means that we're plugged into solar. If you unplug the solar, that goes away. So you got to know your stuff here. Now there's two different lenses on here. So you have a wide angle, and then you have a zoom on it. So you end up with 2 different cameras, or two lenses. So how this works is the following. So you'll see where it says remote camera 1 here, and when I hit that, that's a zoom of the other one. That's a 6 power zoom, and that could be controlled too. So you have both cameras here recording. So what this does is this goes deep into the settings. So here we have the device, surveillance, network, storage, and system. With the device, this pretty much says, do you want a date and time? Do you want to watermark it with saying Reolink? Flip the image, I did that. Anti-flickering. All right, that's that. Now for stream, this is the default settings, and you can come in here and you can change. You can lower it from 15 frames a second to 12 or 10. That'll save some of your data. And then default data is 2048 kilobytes a second. And this is in 4K. There's no way to dumb that down. Alarm settings. You have motion detection here, and you have PIR. That's passive infrared. What that does is I had that turned off to save some battery here. Let's turn that on. Let's go to sensitivity, and this you have to play with. This is basically for animals. If you're going to look for Sasquatch and shit like that, this will use up more battery. So if I'm looking for UFOs in the distance, I really don't need this. So I'm kind of experimenting with that. All right, now auto tracking. This is interesting. This works. I was sitting outside and I was watching it pan with cars, or if a person walks by. So you can check these. Do you want to look at people, vehicles, or other? Of course, I don't really give us. We're not here to collect data on that. We're here to collect data on UAP. But it might mistake one for the other. It might mistake it for an animal. Tracking method. We have digital tracking. Digital tracking first, pan tilt tracking. Not sure what the hell all that does, to tell you the truth. Horizontal range. And so you have a lot of controls over this. You have a schedule here. So this is like, if you want to, let's say you wanted to watch that military or the bombing range. Let's say you're going to put this on the bombing range, and they only go Monday through Friday, so then you could turn it off Saturday and Sunday to save battery. So that's kind of how this works. And then we can go to object. Object stops. That's default. Object disappears. Good. This type of stuff we have in UFODAP. Motion beta. When clear is selected, detective motions will be marked. You have sensitivity here of person, vehicle, or animal. And then we have object size. This is interesting. So we have object size. And how this works is you could say, all right, we got to hit garbage on this. garbage on that. All right, so how this works is um, moving objects that are smaller than the minimum object size or bigger than the minimum object size will not trigger the alarm. So this is basically you size this up and put it where you want and then say, well, only get something smaller than this. Or only get something bigger, right? So it's up to you to figure out, like, basically airplanes are coming in from California going that way. So I can put it and say, well, let me do it so. And that's for person, vehicle. Now, does vehicle mean aircraft? Probably not. Or animal. So you can do the same. You can do each individual ones for that particular unit. Then we have non-detection zone. This is where you want to get in the weeds. And look, there's others. And the others we're hoping is Bigfoot or, UFO, Loch Ness Monster, shit like that. So we have a paint thing here, eraser, paint all, erase all. And then you can do it individually. So I can go here and I can say, this is where I want to look. Or I just erase that. All right. Or you can say other. Okay, well, I don't want to look for vehicle, object, or other. I want to paint it. So that's where you come in here and do that. That's paint all. That's erase all. So others is you don't really have that paintbrush. You just have the whole fucking screen. That's the non-detection zone. All right, so that's just an alarm settings. Now, battery is actually one of the most important ones that I was looking at. What this does is this starts showing you, as you use this, your battery levels. And this is very important because it shows daily. Like what happened here is I did a overnight time lapse, and that time lapse used a lot of battery. And at night it drained the battery down to 50%. But it's been working pretty good. So what I'm going to do next for the next test is I'm going to drain this thing to dead and basically just unplug the solar power and let it run until it drains. And then I'm going to plug it back in and see if it wakes up. Like the rover on Mars, it's got to be like that level, because that runs completely off the sun. So when that dies at night, you want the sun to come up the next day and recharge it and for it to turn on and everything. You don't want to have to go there and manually screw with it. Otherwise, there's no point in having this remotely. That's a very important step. I'm doing all these kind of pre-steps before I actually put it out in the field. And I'm not sure where to put it at. It's looking like Dan's place probably. Watch the Superstition Mountains. But then Sedona's gorgeous as hell. I was looking up the Palo Verde nuclear power plant. There's a few areas around there. There's some place, a cat shelter out there. Fuck, I could maybe talk to the person and say, I like cats too. Can I put a surveillance camera up that watches the nuclear place? And if it leaks, you're getting cancer first because you live next to it. But that's kind of, it sounds sexy. I'm watching the nuke place, but that's boring as hell. I'd almost rather look at Sedona. So I planned this camera to go 3 weeks to a month, watch that area, and move it around. So on the 4K Skywatching podcast, in about 2 weeks, we might have a Sedona camera that we'll check on. And then we'll have Sedona, capture footage. Now get back into how the collection works. So back on the battery. Yeah, I'm gonna get it dead and see if it comes alive. Then we have lights. Infrared lights, I have these off. And that's for the lights on here. You have auto or off because if I put this up, I don't want anybody to know I have it here. It's secret, right? So you have spotlight. But hey, if maybe you want to. This is a full review. Maybe you want this to look at a cabin or a second home you have or different property. All right, so that's how that works. And then we have sounds. So you can record sounds that's going to use up a little more battery. And then you have test sound. And test sound is an alarm, which is, I don't know if it's going to play. Yeah, it's pretty annoying. So I had that turned off. And then you have information about your camera here. All right, for surveillance, I haven't messed with this too much. Post-motion record. What that means is after the object has left, record 15 extra seconds. That's great to have. So you have your recording schedule, and then you can do person, vehicle, animal, or others. So you could just say, hey, for this, I'm not interested. I'm just interested in this stuff, and that way it doesn't record people, animals, and it skips them. There's a lot of great controls on this. The more I look at this, the cooler it gets. You have email. You can have it email you. Maybe that's what you want. FTP. You can set up an FTP here, and then you would have to set up your FTP stuff, FTP port, whether it's 20 or secure FTP. I haven't looked at that, the resolution and all that stuff. That's great if that's how you want to do it. I decided to turn it off again because I don't want it to go every single time it gets on. We have push notifications. I haven't messed with these. Again, I like that other. And we have our network here. So yes, if you do not have a SIM card, you don't get anything. Storage. So how works is I have 100. I think the max is 120 gig SD card, and all the recordings are stored there. And I'll show you how that works. System. Oh, this is excellent. Share device. Now, how this would work? Allow management. View only. Authorize. Enter. Generate authorization code. Now, this might be the coolest damn thing this has. Why? Because think about this. I was thinking about this. I have so much stuff that I need basically I sound like a millennial. Honestly, basically, Gen X people usually don't say that. But I could assign somebody to watch this. Like, let's say we have a group here with myself, Dan, Chris, and Clyde. I could send them, they can download this software that I have on Windows, install it, and then I could send them a generation code, and now they can run this, right? So I can't be here at all times watching this stuff. They can manage it. Let's say I have the funds to buy it, but I don't have the time to watch it. Well, I can have a different Skywatcher assigned to that camera, or a group of them. I think you can share this up to 10 people. So this is a real collaboration effort. I mean, shit, I would have never thought of that if I was building something like this, but that's great because then your team can watch this. The ultimate goal is to get one of these on the Guadalupe Island and the Catalina Island, and then maybe have a group of people monitor this all the time. I mean, that's just fucking great, man. That's great. So yeah, share device is great, and then you have your login settings. And I think there's some stuff here that if you pick this up and try and steal it, it's like a cat. And it starts making annoying sounds like, hey, I'm getting stolen. So that's just what's in that one right there. All right, so we have live view. And we're still on live because I'm messing around, otherwise we're going to sleep mode. So now we have these other buttons over here. So we have a de-encryption tool. What does this do? This is the two-factor your stuff. Let's say you're going to use this as a government employee for the Department of Defense, and you're going to monitor UFOs with this. Well, you can encrypt it so that way Jeremy Corbell doesn't get it. So that's the encryption tool. I don't know what it does. I haven't used it. They have user feedback. That's on their app. Back to these buttons. And then we have a gear here. All right, another gear. System settings. Run at startup. Automatic client update. Automatic live view. Stretch mode if you use. How you want your time and format here. An alarm beep. Lock screen password. Hardware decoding first. Not sure what the hell that does. Language auto and system status. And then we have download settings here. What this does is, if I'm going to download these links, these are where it's going to be on my local drive. You can also do local recording on LAN. I have not messed with that because I'm recording directly to the brain of that camera. All right, now we have links down here. We have the volume level. We see this because the K is in the way. We have a split screen here. That's if you have a whole bunch of these cameras. So that shows us the zoom the wide angle, and that is the zoom. That's interesting. Um, so that's uh, our view right there. All right, now we have these. Low means, for some reason they call it fluent, um, and then we have clear. Clear is going to be your 4K. This here will take a snapshot, and that will go over there. This will start recording video. So I can right now start running video. You can see the counter up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's recording. And that's going to go to where I just showed you on the local drive. Uh, right here, this brings up the pan and tilt controls. So this is going to be up and down. There's a sunset going that way. And I'm going to turn this around here. So this is setting right now in the chimney next off the blizzard of cameras. And when I hit this, it stops. So it doesn't do a 360. It does a 355. So if we do another turn this way, it's going to stop pretty much about that same point. All right, so we have presets here. So presets are where you can say, I want to go to here, and then you move your camera around. And then we have your calibration here. We have a monitor point. We can hit return to monitor point, and that's going to say, well, that's where I had it before. That's where I was wanting. Or you can come here and reset it here, and then click the screen, and then that's your new monitor port. So that's how the PTZ controls work there. This will turn on the spotlight. This button here will do an audio alarm. This button here will bring up time lapse. We'll get to that in a second. And this button here is so you can talk. You can say, hey, don't steal my camera. I could see something like that, if you need that. All right, let's go into time lapse. Over here, before we get into that, let's collapse. Live view, that's camera 1. I think that's camera 2. And switch around. That's for if you have multiple cameras. Because once you have one of these cameras, you can buy more Reolinks, different versions of cameras, and hook them up here. Now, with the time lapse here, this is going to start populating time lapses that I've done with this camera. And this is interesting. So this has, I'll show you how this works. So you can go to create a time lapse. They have these built-in ones, moving clouds, sunrise, sunset, construction. Not sure what that would blooming. It's like if you wanted to do some animals or flowers and things like that. Like if you want to see your weed growing or something. Animals, crops, custom. So if we were to do one, let's do a sunset here. You would come in, start time. It could be any time on your clock. Duration. You can do minutes, hours. Oh shit! I didn't see the unlimited. I'll have to try that one. So usually default is 6 hours. That's what I've been doing with. I didn't see that unlimited. Interval 10 seconds. You got to play around with this. Usually 30 seconds to a minute is what you want. You have your video or photo. And you want it clear. Fluent is going to be lower resolution. Clear is going to be high. So when you do that, then it starts and it runs. So I've done some of these time lapses here, and I have them loaded up. So we'll look at a couple of time lapses that this camera did. So that's a time lapse that I did on Sunday. And I'm kind of just using the default stuff. With the time lapse, I'm just kind of seeing, because I can do time lapse with any camera. You can use any surveillance camera and do a time lapse with it. You could take the entire video, dump it into a video editor, and then speed it up. Do it. Depends on what you're using for video editing. So that's one time lapse. Another one I did. This one I did. So that's what if you have the thing going too fast, that's a little hard to look at. Look that one off. So here's the sunset I did on Wednesday night. And when it goes into night mode, what I'm looking for is, do I have any burnt out pixels? Because a lot of cameras come with them. But this is a pretty good transition into night. And we have another one I did just at night. And yeah, if you can slow it down if you want to do it, every so many seconds or every minute. And with stuff like that, it's kind of interesting to see if something flies by and then changes direction. That happens sometimes, but there's also different ways to skywatch. Steve Barone does this a lot, where he films aircraft or whatever they are, and then he speeds them up to see if they do anything kind of strange. I mean, he has some pretty weird results. There's the last time lapse that I did with that, and it does have a pretty good picture to it. I gotta admit that. For $250, the image quality is about comparable of what we have with the P1000. And it's funny that the P1000 price is going up. It's kind of surprised you don't have a P2000 now with a 200 power zoom lens, so that way we could see Europa and other moons going around Jupiter. So back to this camera. Now, if you go to playback, I'll show you how the playback here works. Playback here, what you have is your calendar. So we have, when I started giving this a serious look. So what you're going to look at is down here, and you have these choices here, which is your human, vehicle, animal, and others. So you can click on a date, and then you can say, well, hey, what do we have here? Well, this was motion activated because there's a lot of stuff going there. So you could filter what happened and say, do we have any cars that day? Do we have any people? And they'll show up down here if you have anything, or is it other? So that's a way you can do filtering to see, did anything show up down here or not? And that depends on if you turn the PIR on or what the instance is. Now with playback, you also have this option here to download. Now when you come here, this may or may not have video for you, depending on whether you set it up to do clear or what. So this is different. These videos are stored inside the camera. All right, so you can hit choose all and then hit download, and this will begin downloading them. Otherwise, you can go through how. So each one would need to be downloaded. So this is all stored in the camera, and it's not streamed to you. So this doesn't eat into your SIM card data because it's internal. It's only recording itself. Now, when you go to download these, it's going to have to transport from 4G to your phone or to your computer, and that's where you're going to pay for data. But with that mobile unlimited, I really don't give a shit about speeds as long as it downloads it. So that pretty much wraps up all the stuff that is in this camera. So let's talk about deployment of this. So I could deploy this, and I could have somebody remotely monitor it. I could even have one of you guys watch, depending on if that's something you'd be interested in doing. Now, I could have a level on here where somebody pays, let's say, $8 a month, and then we give them camera controls to remote operate one of these cameras in one of our remote locations. If we had a few more of these cameras, we could keep many more cities in Arizona under Skywatch surveillance instead of just the massive amount of surveillance that I have here in Chandler. And then we can have the audience engaging with this and directly doing UFO research. And, this is field research. We're putting this stuff out in the field, and then it's got to be monitored by somebody. And then this takes time. This takes time. Now, I have the resources and the funds to a degree to get this stuff and to put it out there, but I need help. I need you guys to help. But yeah, right now I am tapped out of money. I got a whole bunch of other bills that have nothing to do with ufology at all, hitting like yearly taxes and mortgage and all that stuff. So I don't have the $170 to send to the FCC yet to get this radar licensed and up and running. I got to stretch that out. There's a handgun I'd like to buy, but don't have money for that either. So maybe next month. It's my birthday. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, having a group effort with this could really open doors. We need more people actually doing practicing ufology and doing the actual research. Now, you could be retired and sitting in your home, say in Sweden, Finland, Australia, England, wherever, and you could be remotely in charge managing one of these damn cameras. I mean, that really puts skywatching up on another level. I mean, this takes people from all over the planet. We can start working together as a an online unit. So that's something to think about. This is not as good as the P1000, but there's a lot of other things that camera can do. So that's something to think about. Let's go to see what people say. Oh, let's see, price went up. The P11. Well, I didn't know that. I'll have to check that out. Usually, when a successor comes out, that pushes the price down. You can get, like, if they even make HD TVs, you can get them dirt cheap, and you can get like a huge 4K TV for a couple $100 now because the prices got put down. Oh, you're very welcome. Let's see. So that is pretty much a wrap of the Reolink camera system. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Dropped $250,000 on that thing. And yeah, then I have now forever. It's like having a baby. I have to pay $30 a month to get data. I might be able to get it cheaper. I might find out that even though this records and that saves it into the SD card, micro SD card inside, you don't really need to transfer all that stuff. Maybe it only records, depending on the situation where you load the camera, maybe it only needs so much data to come. It doesn't need an unlimited amount. Might need a $5 a month phone plan. This could be incredibly cheap. Think about it. So let's get into just a second. I got the update my thing here. All right, let's get into News Nation. Arizona UFO hunters. Now, bring this up. So News Nation did a show on Arizona. They did a pretty good show. To tell you the truth, I had nothing to do with it, but it is a good summarization of what the hell is going on in Arizona. Ross Coulthart hypes the shit out of stuff. That's what I noticed with the egg video and with this. Man, does he lay on the hype? Man, News Nation must be like just giving him huge checks to just hype the hell out of stuff. Now, something to keep in mind, and these aren't made for us. None of these shows are made for people like me or people like you that are watching. These shows are made for your friends at work that watch Kim Kardashian or some other stuff. It's made for non-UFO people to wake them up, to say, here is what is going on. No UFO show is made UFO 301, except on this place. On this place, we drill down to the nerdiest of the nerdiest stuff, wiring, diagrams, saving money and buying stuff. This is where guerrilla skywatching takes place, right? They don't make shows for us like that. They make shows for people who are just casual watchers. So they did a pretty good job of it. They covered the Border Patrol people who have been leaking Border Patrol videos. And what's cool is they didn't get in trouble at all. Later, the Border Patrol came out and said, "Yeah, that's our stuff." And here's an official video of it, and I think some of them are on the Arrow website. So yeah, that came out, and they did some UFO hunting here. I'll bring up a little bit of this. So some of these guys they didn't show because they're probably still working. So their data collection is going to be massive from helicopters and fixed wing planes and drones and things sitting on the ground. They probably see all kinds of stuff. He said on this show that they see hundreds and hundreds of these objects. But something to keep in mind is if you're hired and you're fresh off the boat in the military, Border Patrol, Coast Guard, anything, you're going to be in awe when you first get in and they give you some night vision goggles and you start seeing, holy shit, look at all this stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff flying around. A lot of that stuff's going to be our military flying around. Just like 2 shows back or so, we had a yellow orb followed by a helicopter down by Tombstone, Arizona, same location where this is. That turned out to be a helicopter following another helicopter. The first helicopter had its lights on. But the person living down there, even though he lives there, he still thought it was a UFO. So even people who live there aren't acclimatized to this. And it happens to everybody. Everybody gets into skywatching. At first, they screw up with balloons, mixing stuff up. They don't know what they're doing. After a couple of years in, you're pretty much a journeyman. You can separate the good stuff from the junk. So yeah, they did a show there on UFO hunters. But for some reason they included New Jersey, and then they played the egg video for some reason. I don't know why they played the egg video, but they were just kind of doing action packed. They got into the Phoenix Lights. Every time they talk about Arizona, they end up talking about the Phoenix Lights case. And yeah, I don't know why, but they had Lynn Katai on there because she kind of carries the water for the sighting a lot. She didn't have a lot to do with it. She's the last person I would call a UFO hunter because she doesn't hunt UFOs at all. She just talks about this case. It's not like she's out there looking for a new case or a new UFO or she's investigating anything. She's just there to say, hey, Phoenix Lights. So she's not what I would call a UFO hunter, but not everybody was. They had USC on here, and they're not exactly UFO hunters, they're scientists. Then they had Melinda Leslie on here, and she's a nice girl from Sedona. And she takes people out, and for $90 takes them on a tour around Sedona. I've heard about it. Everybody in the Phoenix Valley knows who she is. And she goes out and takes people out on these night trips. And again, if you get 3rd generation binoculars, you go, oh my God, look at all this stuff. Like the Luna Optics that I have. That's basically a 3rd generation digital version of night vision, but it records. And while I'm on Luna Optics, a bit of a rant here. I was looking through the Luna Optics site, and every damn single device they have uses CR123A batteries. They're these little short, fat batteries that cost $1 to $2 a piece. They're very, very expensive, and you will eat these batteries up. So if you buy a Luna Optics, they're coming. You're gonna have to use these CR2123s. I mean, I usually get like for 20 or $30, like 16 of them or something, and they might last a weekend. So you chew through these batteries. You can put USB-C, but then you got to have the damn cord in a battery pack. So that's the alternative. So those are good binoculars. And in fact, A guy on our Discord, the Skywatcher, has the same binoculars I do. And he captured 8 minutes of a blue orb on it. And I'm looking at this video going, I have this piece of equipment. How in the hell did he get this blue orb? Because I'm trying to figure out, like, is it by accident? Could it be something else? Because I did a show about 4 back of $800 pair of binoculars versus $80. And the $80 piece of Chinese junk made everything a blue orb. Everything. Incoming aircraft, landing lights, blue orb. That's going to produce false positive videos left and right. Where the Luna Optics gets the color correct. So he's filming this blue orb, and I'm thinking, what in the hell is this? So that's another video that I found that I want to download, stabilize, try and get this guy in the show, get him on. We'll interview him and have him talk about his footage. So that's probably coming up on a 4K Skywatching podcast. So anyway, there's a rant on that. So anyway, yeah, they did that. They went into the rubber duck. Jake, I got a big problem with these guys now. All these, with the blow up of Luke shit in the bed, showing that fake photograph. The fallout just continues with this online. You got Rick Doty coming out saying in 2019, he's claiming he was offered a job at Space Force to work with Lou Elizondo in disinformation. What? What the? And he said he turned it down. Or did he? Or does he get paid to go on podcasts and that's how he works for Space Force. Because Rick Doty's in his 70s. He's retired. He teaches like math and stuff. He's a nice guy. I don't believe a fucking thing he says. Nada. Nothing. And I'm starting to get that way with Lou. With Lou, you look at Lou and he says, well, I'm counterintelligence. I came in ufology to destroy it. Well, fuck, man. We better put some red tape around this. This is red flags all over the place. And then we got Jake here, right? Same goddamn thing. He goes to a Stephen Greer convention, a conference. Michael Herrera's there, the whistleblower, and he's talking about human trafficking with a huge octagon-shaped UFO. Jake's there just to find people like him, whistleblowers, and then I don't know what the next step is. You beat the shit out of him, you report him to the supervisor, get his pension canceled. I don't know what they do, right? But we're supposed to trust these people? Fuck that shit. I don't trust nobody anymore that says, hey, I was from the government and I got these great pension paychecks. I'm inside the UFO cover-up. I was in the program, but I turned state's evidence now, and now I'm a good guy. I'm on your side. And everything I say had to go through DOPSR, which is like the Department of Reauthorization Review or whatever. So this is controlled disclosure because everything they say has to be approved by the fucking government before they say it, right? So that's not whistleblowing. That's bullshit. A real whistleblower is Snowden. He had the goods. He stole. He came with receipts, right? He came with evidence. He left. Then he went to another country because he knew he was going to get arrested. And then he said, hey, here's what's going on. They listen. They get the money to listen and watch everything you do. Total surveillance. Ever since the digital age, they started way back analog-wise with phone records, and then it came real fast and easy when we went from analog to digital. That's a real whistleblower, right? Now, he didn't go through DOPSR. He didn't say, hey, I'm gonna tell you about some of the NSA stuff, but the NSA had to clear it first. No, that's controlled disclosure there. That's the government stringing us along, just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Here's a balloon video they put out Friday from Arrow, to placate us, because this is mainstream now. The stigma is almost completely gone. We went from a couple of years ago, 50, 60 podcasters doing this. We're doing it now to the point, like, if your grandma's alive, she's going to do a UFO podcast. Why? I don't know, because it's fucking popular now. Because now there's no stigma. Now there's no stigma. All the cowards come forward looking for money, right? Looking for cash. Where the fuck were you 30 years ago when you got fired for doing this stuff? But are these counterintelligence guys? Forget it. I'm done because there's going to be another one come forward, and then another one, and another one where they were in the program and it was great, and then something went wrong. So to keep the money train going, now they're on our side. But years ago, they were collecting their checks. Snowden said this. You can get your nice, fat, six-figure salary. You could make $300,000 a year. You could listen to people's phone calls, look up all your ex-girlfriends, do all kinds of shit. But you just can't have a conscience that all this is wrong. And when all that ends, oh shit, the $300,000 a year checks are gone. Well, now I'm a whistleblower. And well, I just don't buy this stuff, man. I don't know if these people were told to do this or if they're doing this voluntarily, but what these people say that goes through DOPSR, that's controlled disclosure, right? They can't just come out and say, none of them come out and say, I worked for, let's say, Northrop. My boss's name was Bob. He lives over at this address. Here's the supervisors. Here's the name of the company. Here's the address where we store eggs and octagons. Here's the helicopter contracting place. Here's my buddies I work with. Here's the people I dropped it off to that did recovery. I drank beer with all of them. Here's the scientists that study this stuff, right? They don't do none of that stuff. So as far as the government coming out, China's going to come out with this stuff first. If these ain't Chinese drones or UAPs reverse engineered over New Jersey, I don't know. But I don't trust none of these government people that are sitting on their pensions and then saying, yeah, trust me, bro. So anyway, that was the UFO, Arizona UFO show. It was pretty good. It was made for noobs, and it did a pretty good education of it. But for those of us that are UFO Jedis and journeymen at this, we can kind of see through some of that bullshit. And that brings us to Matthew Brown. Episode 3 of Weaponized came out. And it was the same thing as episode 2. I learned, if you're, again, this is not made for us, right? This is made for people at work, for your in-laws and stuff that really aren't into this stuff. So anyway, he comes out in this interview and he basically talks for hours and says nothing. Sorry. Like he said nothing. That I learned absolutely nothing new from Matthew. I learned new stuff from Dan in his video. I learned a little bit from that Arizona UFO hunters. I learned nothing from Weaponized except Jeremy and George got paid a lot for all the eyeballs looking at that stuff. 3 hours. That entire thing could have been done in 10 minutes. They could have squeezed all that down. Every time they asked him something, he didn't really answer it. On the third episode, I was really, really paying attention to what they were asking him. And George asked him some really good questions. And Matt didn't answer a fucking one of them. He just danced around that with, I'm starting to think, do these guys watch podcasts or UFO shows and then they go on TV and they repeat what they said and then like they repeat what they saw on Ancient Aliens, and Ancient Aliens repeats what they saw a whistleblower say, but that whistleblower got it from a previous episode of Ancient Aliens, so it's a snake eating its tail of information. That Matt looked nervous, like he was about to go to jail. And he didn't go through DOPSR. But then again, he didn't say anything. It's like, well, I was in there, and I saw the stuff, and I saw stuff that's secret, and it's UFOs related. I showed it to my supervisor, and he said, oh, big deal. Don't worry about it. Well, that tells us nothing. Nothing. And then Jeremy asked the worst fucking questions ever heard. Like, how did you feel when you were in the office? And he asked at least 2, maybe 3 questions about how this guy felt. I don't, and I know you guys too, don't give a shit how he feels being a whistleblower. We want to know where the goddamn bodies are. Who's in charge of this? Get this shit over with. And then Jeremy's, we have 30 more of these interviews recorded. Oh shit, you got 90 hours of people saying, well, I saw this stuff and I dropped it off over here. Just like that Ross Coulthard. Here's an egg video, but it wasn't from Jay. It was from a different helicopter pilot. We're not, who happened to pitch in an egg video when Jake's going public. I mean, the mountain of bullshit is so high that we walk up to it and touch the moon. Just kind of fucking tired of this. I mean, we do actual work, real UFO science, and we're just surrounded by bullshit people just raking in cash, driving cyber trucks. It's fucking sickening. Are we going to get disclosure from them? Nope, because none of these 30 people are going to pull a Snowden and say, look, I'm over here in a Chinese hotel, and let me show you all these videos that I was on the top secret server, and I sat here with my iPhone filming video after video after video after video. We got hundreds of these triangle videos, and get it over with. That's what it's going to take. That's catastrophic disclosure, a UFO type of Snowden. But if they go through George, Jeremy, and Ross, that's just government isn't going to do that. If they actually had these real top secret videos, they wouldn't even be able to air them. They wouldn't. News Nation would be pulled directly off the air the same way Art Bell had his feeds cut when he had certain people on. They'd cut his goddamn radio feed. They have the FCC. They have entire control over all this. And circling back to how the show started, they have this Gorgon stare. And Matt Brown brought this up. They have satellites. They have satellites looking down, watching all of us. The whole planet is full of satellites looking in. They can see these things coming down and leaving through space. But we got this aero video today that I showed at the beginning of the show. It could have been a couple of balloons, right? Where's those good videos? Where's that video? Jeremy talked about there was a video that was actually a huge disc moving in and out of the clouds. Right? That might have been what Lou thought he was showing. Where's all this stuff? No one has the guts to do a Snowden. So if there's 30 more guys coming forward, like Matt Brown, I don't know if I'm even going to watch that. I just can watch the Skywatcher, watch the cliff notes later on YouTube if there's anything new he dropped. So I don't know. It seems like all these guys are dropping, then they get an agent. They're probably going to have a book, right? Because I'm sure Lou made pretty good money on that book. Then they get their security clearance back, which means if they didn't get their 20 years in for their federal pension, they'll get it by working for Space Force and disinformation and going on podcasts and spreading bullshit. So, the UFO cover-up, people like, you got Stephen Bassett. He said it was going to be over in 3 weeks. He said that in December 2024 during the New Jersey drone flat. In 3 weeks, it'll be over with. And then we had Courtney Brown, right? Remote viewer. Remote viewer who can't remote view where any gold deposits are. Remote viewer that can't find any precious minerals. But said disclosure is going to happen in like the first couple of weeks of January. I think he said that at Chris Little's show. That didn't happen. So most of the senior talking heads are just shoveling bullshit as fast as they can shovel it. People were just eating that up. It's crazy. I don't know. Disclosure probably, realistically, isn't going to come through people like me either. I mean, there's only so much I can do with this equipment, and these things are smart enough to stay the hell back. Well, if we talked about going back to using tape, that maybe I should get my high 8 camera out, show up over at Dan's place, handicapped with a bad camera, don't bring 4K stuff, watch these things light up and say hello again. You show up with 6K, these things are, hey, back, buddy. I mean, you know how like animals know it's hunting season? Well, these things know if you have a really, really good camera, and they're not going to come. I mean, they doil this stuff out slowly. They ration it out. Like, well, here's a little bit better picture. They seem to know everything we have. The alien intelligence, well, they would have people on Earth that looked like us. People we wouldn't be able to distinguish from human to alien with even a DNA test. They could take over your mind, your body. They most likely would be doing podcasts and whatnot. We wouldn't even know. Um, I don't know. I'm just kind of disappointed. I was waiting for these whistleblowers to come, and now that I see kind of how this is going to go down, and Matt said there's more coming, and at the end he said God is real. He didn't answer shit. He just is that speculation. Again, did you get that from the ancient aliens guy who will then quote you quoting him? This is just nuts. It's frustrating, man. It's frustrating. All of us want to get this the hell over with. There's a lot, some of us, people watching, they're 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. And they don't have a lot more time to waste. They don't have time for episode 90 of Weaponize the 30th guy or girl. We got to get this shit over with, man. So that kind of wraps up this week. I'm hoping next week, if everything goes right, the Reolink will be somewhere other than this house. AT Fox, it was good to see you. Good evening. I haven't seen Renee yet. I haven't seen Uncle Dave's kitchen. I'm going to go out with Skywatching, man. I am cold and Skywatching. There's Starlinks everywhere. Yeah. Well, the Starlinks are going to ruin Skywatching at night because we're just going to see millions of these things. And I don't know. I like Elon. I think I kind of hate him. I'm one of those people like I like the good stuff he's doing. And then obviously some of the dumb shit. Like I don't agree with one guy just universally gets to throw up 40,000 satellites. What if I want to put 40,000 satellites? And you and T Fox and True Seeker and Hubert and Arizona, we all put 40,000 satellites, 100 million satellites up there. So, and then what's he going to do that to the moon and all that other stuff? Yeah. This is the place where action goes down and reporting comes on a regular basis, timely and again, Apple TV, Observe and Report. Part 1 is out. You go to Apple TV, type in aliens. You'll find aliens uncovered. We have Clive Christopher, a great filmmaker here in the Valley. And all of his productions get better and better and better as you watch him. And his stuff eventually from Apple, it'll probably, I don't know, go on. He's got some deals with YouTube channels, so probably go on YouTube later so you can watch it for free. So rent or buy it or watch it later. And he's got stuff on Tubi. Dan Starkey is in some of these. His colleague of mine, he's in this with us. Yes, we are surrounded by a lot of stuff, but not all. I mean, I don't think I'm pitching bullshit. I'm giving you straight talk here as it happens. Yeah, I want to know more about this. I want to start using Chat GPT to find out more about remote viewing, possible psychic, psionic stuff. Yeah, those are interesting results. One thing, though, is Jake said he's not giving the dog whistle away. And think about it. If he gave it away and it worked, I don't think he just stumbled upon it. He's a fucking helicopter pilot. How's the helicopter pilot going to stumble upon that? The psionic guys would have done it, right? And they would have probably got that from the CIA, that the CIA got it, maybe ripping off Stephen Greer, Prophet Yahweh, who the hell knows. But if it worked and they told us and they gave it away, we would have China doing this immediately. We would have Russia doing this immediately. All Iran, all of our adversarial countries that don't like us would be doing it. And then here comes the goddamn eggs. And they would be, so they said, what? Shoot them with electromagnetic microwave weapons? You know, whatever. China probably has alien weapons. I mean, you would think in a craft that they have rifles, guns. You know, I would be shocked if there's this many alien species visiting the planet, sometimes crashing, that they don't have a sidearm on them, right? They don't have an alien Second Amendment, you know, the right to bear arms in the spacecraft, because we're fucking dangerous. If you land these craft here around humans, what are we going to do? We're going to carjack your fucking UFO. We're going to choke you and say, there's the proof. There's a UFO. They're dangerous, so they have to have weapons. And if they gave the dog whistle away, China and Russia would rush to it. Their UFO collection, if they could down them, would go up, maybe rival ours. And they don't have the problem with a Lockheed and a Northrop and a Raytheon and a Boeing that don't communicate. All their Chinese companies would talk together and they would solve this a hell of a lot faster. Plus, they send their people over here. They get hired at Northrop and all these companies. And who knows if they email what they found out back to China, CCP. Can't trust anybody. Trust is a very, very rare commodity in the UFO field. And I'm not giving it anymore to anybody who was Cointel, who's now saying, I had the black hat on, and I'm going to change it out for the white hat. Fuck you are. Once CIA, always CIA. Look at public access. I have 4 or 5 of those Ted Loman ones on here. Now, his son has all of them. Nathan Loman. Nathan Loman chatted on one of my Ted Loman videos. If you look back in the comments, there's a comment from Nathan Loman, and he says he has the whole collection. Ted Loman had a wall of VHS tapes. He's the only guy I saw who had more VHS tapes than me. I had 750 VHS tapes. 550 of them were UFO related, and then the other 200 probably Disneyland shit. But those 500 were digitized, and Ted had way more than that. But the problem is VHS, it erodes. So as time goes on, it biodegrades and degenerates, and your copy goes bad, worse and worse and worse. Now, what I found is high 8 is different. My high 8 tapes that are 20 years old, I can put them in and they'll play brand new. But those VHS and super VHS get degraded. So hopefully Nathan Loman can have somebody digitize it, start his own channel, and then make some whatever YouTube pays him off of it. Those are great shows. I mean, classics. That was a great resource that we had, Ted Loman. Yeah. Nathan Loman. I'm not on Facebook, but I would probably bet dollars to donuts he is. So if you guys are on Facebook, look up Nathan Loman. It's kind of a unique name. Not like Tom King. There's 6,500 Tom Kings in the United States. So I'm almost on Google. So we're wrapping up on 2 hours. We thought this would go an hour. We lost Dan. Dan, we got to get you some better internet. Maybe it's Reolink or something like that. So I'm going to wrap this up. We got Truth Seeker, the guy who got me in this radar. Hello. And T Fox. I'm cold. Cheeky Bastard was here. This was a good podcast. We'll see you guys next week on it's going to be episode 24. I have no idea what's going to come out. I think Arrow's dropping videos on Friday night. So if you're a partier, I used to party, but if you're a partier, man, it's Friday. Drink up, go watch your Friday night Arrow video. And I'm Tom King. And this is 4K Skywatching podcast number 23, May 16th, 2025. It's been a privilege to be here and talk to you, and we will see you guys next Friday at 6. I'm out. Bye.